welcome in Morgan Reagan and Bo Cruz, apparently. Deuce
looking smooth out here.
I
wish that boy looking smooth, boy. I see him.
I did notice that this morning, Deuce Mo, the Deuce Mo podcast and NBC Sports California with us. I did notice this morning, like, oh, Deuce kept the shortcut. He's rocking it. I like it.
Yeah.
I may do it for a bit. It's time to change up the look a little bit.
Let's be real. He actually said to me, hey, I don't look like just a plain nerdy white dude right now. That's why. So he's starting to actually like the buzz a little is why.
He got a little edge to him. Neck tat coming next.
like Cody Rhodes. Just the
lean into the bit, buddy. Get that red, white, and blue tattooed right here.
Arf.
Also, hey, happy 26th anniversary to the debut of the NWO today.
In NWO.
Yeah, that
New World Order.
Dude.
What is he doing? God! Is he the third man? He's the third man! What the hell is going on here?
That's so great.
Every time.
Dude, Bryce tagged me in that today, and when it said 26 years, I was just like, how, man? That does not seem like 26 years ago.
That's crazy. Did you guys see it live? I didn't see it live.
No. I had it on, like, my grandma used to have some guy at her work who would record all the pay-per-views off a black box and sell them for $5. But so I watched it later, but I watched that so many times on VHS.
Yeah.
Whose side is he on?
I should have known, like, what our neighbor recorded it and gave it to my mom and said, here, Damien, I should have known something was up when my mom comes in and goes, have you watched it yet? No, I'm watching it right now. And she starts laughing and leaves. I'm like, oh, what the hell was that? And then she heard me react to it when it happened, and she came in and she watched the heel turn with me.
Just amazing.
That was some good stuff.
That was 16? I was 15 when that happened. Damn. 1996. My God, man.
Good memory, everyone. I have zero memory of it because I wasn't growing up watching. Well, I had wrestling around, but I was never invested like you guys. I feel like it didn't really pull in the women or young girl audience back then at all.
Especially in that 97, 98 era. No, that was geared towards. Well, to be honest, it was geared towards 17-year-old D'Lo. That's who it was geared towards.
That Jacqueline every Monday night in pay-per-view. I was with it.
Sable. That was
the handprints. Remember the handprints?
I was at that show. That was in Fresno. I was at that pay-per-view. Wow. I was at that pay-per-view in Fresno when the famous hand-painted bikini was revealed.
Bro, they have these things on USA. That's wild.
Wild. This is what you tune in for, folks.
Yep.
This is it right here. Two of the best minds in all of the King's world, and we're talking about the Attitude Era in professional wrestling. Takeaways from the California Classic?
Man, Keegan was fun, man. I mean, we got to see kind of the full glimpse of what he's capable of. I know that second game wasn't great, but I mean, the shot, some of the plays he was making defensively, taking it, strong to the basket with either hand. I like what I saw.
I told Deuce this morning, I was like, he just stood out as a solid player. When you can tell when some guys out there, they're just like getting theirs, doing whatever. Some are getting highlights, like they have that young athleticism, and then others are just like a solid, mature player. And that's what Keegan looked like to me on so many different plays.
Yeah, you guys talked about it on your show. I talked about it with a couple other people. I'm not trying to say, you guys got to hear me out when I say this. I'm not saying he's going to be Hall of Famer. I'm not going to say he's going to be a 5-time NBA champion. I'm not going to say he's going to be a top 15 player to ever play the game. But his demeanor and the way that he just gets it was very Tim Duncan-esque. Very Tim Duncan-esque.
Going with the Slim Duncan name. Okay.
Slim Duncan. I saw it too. And like I said, maybe he just has that demeanor and he's a good player. I'd be fine with that. I'm not saying anything more, but the fact that at that position, at the power forward position, it wasn't anything demonstrative or, he wasn't grabbing rebounds and like Carmelo being like, get that out of there. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just, I got a rebound. I'm going. Oh, I got a bucket. Oh, you want me to come off this pin down? Got it. Catch, shoot, jog back. is very Tim Duncan-esque.
Moving well without the ball. I mean, there's a lot to like. I like you watch him, and to me, I don't think it's outrageous to say he's going to have an impact day one. Like, I don't think he's going to look lost when he gets to the NBA level.
You know, it's funny. I didn't feel confident in saying that just from watching him in college. And again, to everyone out there, it's not like I was watching every single one of Keegan Murray's games. It was like 2 months before I'm watching Synergy and then some full games, right? Like I'm getting what I can from his game. But it goes to show too, when he was playing in college, like the difference of what his role was and what his role can be with some different NBA players around him. And that's what I'm excited for, because I feel like he has just so many things to still show off when playing with some better players.
I agree.
And that's the thing too, though, when managing kind of our expectations from summer league to the regular season, Mo, because you were just talking about him playing around like NBA players. Well, you know, we'll see him in Las Vegas for sure. But then the next time we see him, he's going to be playing around real NBA players. Yeah. And, you know, one question that we asked coming out of these 3 games, and it'll certainly be fun to watch him in Las Vegas as well, is what type of approach does he take when it's not, you know, Frankie Ferrari and Alex O'Connell on the floor, but it's De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and you know, perhaps Harrison Barnes as well.
Yeah, I just think about the way that like there should be no Frankie Ferrari slander on this show.
Oh no, we are big fans of Frankie Ferrari.
I like Frankie.
Casey loves it.
Okay.
The chat had a little Frankie Happy, Frankie Pinto, Frankie Fiat. Like they have to go there.
Here's my thing, guys. Here's my thing. So I think it's funny when we're watching Frankie Ferrari and he's like, you know, he likes to pass. And I'm like, yeah, he likes to pass, but half of his passes are, you know, going here out of bounds, not to someone's chest, all these things. And all I'm thinking about is the players with the Davion and De'Aaron, and then specifically Sabonis, and the way that Sabonis can pass and make some elite passes to someone like Keegan Murray. Think about when you're shooting and you come into a shot and it's all perfectly right into your chest and you just go into one motion. Like, he's going to have so many more of those moments when he's playing with those guys.
Yeah, I agree. What do you
Offense
guys?
is going to be nice, man. I have like zero doubt about the offense.
I agree with you 100%, but I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I did see that gave me a little clarity was, I think all this talk about Keegan at the 3, settle down. Yeah. I didn't like what I saw as far, and that's today, right? Like, he's got plenty of time to work on his game, not only before the season starts, but 2 years down the road, maybe the handle gets right there. You know what I'm saying? Players develop, no doubt about that. But today, I don't see the skill set to stick him at the 3 in a big time setting. Like, I don't like the footwork on the defensive end. I think James talked about it yesterday, but the hips weren't lying. Shakira, you know what I mean? I don't like
James is not talking about his hips.
James said the hips don't lie.
James loves hips.
Talking about his hips. When I want to hear about hip mobility, I go to James' hands.
That's facts. James loves hips. It's true.
Hips don't lie. I think we could put all that to rest. I don't want to see him with the 3 just yet.
I mean, yeah, to me, he's 4, and I actually think he could play some small ball 5. More so than 3 than anything.
Well, I thought what was most interesting was when they were putting Neemias Queta and Keegan Murray both in there, and there was times they were doing that high-low action where Neemi would be at the high post and just making a beautiful fundamental bounce pass into Keegan, who could decide, like, am I going to drop step here? Am I going to turn around and do a baseline jumper? And you could tell, like, just smart movement or smart play was being done. But now instead of Neemias Queta, you put Sabonis there, and you wonder, like, what else can happen? The attention that Sabonis takes from so many defenses. And then you have De'Aaron Fox. Is he going to be moving without the ball? Like, I just have so much more confidence in guys moving without the basketball, and it's just going to elevate a rookie's game like Keegan Murray's.
I want to talk more about that. You're listening to D'Lo and Casey on ESPN 1320. KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ, HD2 98.5 Sacramento, an Odyssey station and driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. Deuce Mo, the Deuce Mo podcast and NBC Sports California with us. We'll get to the additions of Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter and some things to look forward to in this season as the conversation rolls along here. But Morgan, you brought up Neemias Queta there, and I want to stick with him just for a minute because in the California Classic Championship of the World, where we avenged our loss in the Western Conference Finals a couple of days ago.
Big time.
Queta was really struggling there in the first half. Like, he had more fouls than points plus rebounds. And he was a player that we were watching, and he got kind of going there in the final stretch. And I don't think there's anyone more qualified to talk about Neemias Queta than you two covering him daily in Stockton. Where are we with Neemias Queta? Like, do we still have that vibe that he's an NBA center? He's a piece of clay that needs to be molded a little bit still.
He needs a lot of molding, and there's times where you see those flashes and it's exciting. Like Deuce and I have talked about, he could be like ready. He could, that modern day big, like he has the ability to do it, but then you see all these different flaws and you're like, how can they fix those flaws? Well, we saw him in his in-season adjustments last season, and it was impressive. Now, what type of developmental growth can he have with this new coaching staff that has the reputation of developing guys? And I want to see him with this crew, see what he can do with the way that he can develop in this season. But yes, there's still a lot of rawness to his game, the way that he fouls, like he just doesn't have control of his legs at times.
No, I think he fouls too much. You see the glimpses, and I think one area that I like that I've seen from him is just giving him the ball, because I think he can pass it. I don't feel like many people realize that he's a good passer, and to utilize that strength is good. I think he showed some nice things defensively at times. Him and Keegan, I mean, a couple of times in that final game, had like blocks together.
Yeah.
But we talk about all the time. It's like defend without fouling. I mean, you see it with Sabonis has like kind of the same thing. Like Sabonis is in foul trouble so much. And, if Queta is going to be able to stay on the floor, he's got to control the body much better, in my opinion.
The two things that I wanted to see from Queta in the summer league, and he played fine. I don't think he played bad at all or anything like that. He was fine. But there was two things that kind of frustrated me that I wanted to see in this particular setting. And you guys can tell me maybe if you saw more of this in Stockton. But number one, I wanted to see him dominate the boards more than what he did. I wanted him to rebound. In that particular case, you're the biggest guy out there on the floor. Every rebound should be yours. He picked it up in that final game, but a lot of that game, he had like one or two rebounds until like the fourth quarter. So I want to see him rebound more. And then this may just be a strange quirk of mine, all right? But a la Bill Walton, as he would say, I want to see you throw it down, big man. Like, throw it down. He get in there and a little jelly, a little finger roll, a little drop it in the bucket. Yeah. Like Damian said, like it was 1968 and the rules were you can't dunk. Hey, throw the ball down, Queta. Let me see you on that, big dog. Those are the two things that I wanted to see a little bit more from him.
It's like what Zion said yesterday. He was asked about like, hey, like some reporter was going on and on about like, do you think like maybe you should do more layups because dunks and layups count as two? Should you just go layups to conserve your body? And he's like, are you kidding me? No, I'm trying to dunk it on somebody's head. Right. I love that mentality. Yes. So I'd like to see more of that. I think he'd be more of a lob threat too. It's just the lobs have not been.
Well, Frankie tried.
No disrespect to Frankie, but like they just haven't. They haven't been there.
What? No, that's not okay.
Okay, we're having fun. It's just joking around.
No, you guys.
To be fair, them new Kias are really nice.
Fire.
Them new Kias are hot.
You guys working for the NBA? What's going on over there?
Just saying, them new Kias are hot.
All right. Well,
brought to you by Kia here on.
That's all I covered all those. I was like, look, oh my gosh, that's a Kia.
No, I can't lie. I thought the same thing. I was like, yo, this is hot.
Should I say Frank Saturn? Should we go that far? I mean, it's not Ferrari. Like, I used to have a Saturn. I could say
someone had a Frank Ford Focus.
Oh my God!
Somebody
there's anything wrong with the Ford
somebody in here, and this is wrong. I don't condone this at all. I'm surprised I'm even repeating this in the chat. Chat should be embarrassed. Somebody said Frankie Bus Pass.
damn.
My God!
Man.
I can't be here for this. But seriously, yes, think about him getting some other lobs, right? Some lobs that are actually on point and above the rim and not just going straight out of bounds. It would be nice to see for Keita, but I'm with you too, Kenny. It's like I want to see him power through, throw it down. Because if he doesn't have that finger roll down or that fadeaway jumper on the post or whatever it is for Keita, if he doesn't have that down, and it's like, utilize your body, power through people, get to the rack.
I think it's a big summer league too, because I mean the Kings still have 2 roster spots and two-way guys aren't taking up the roster spot. So I don't know if he was awesome. Could he make it? I know the Kings still have Alex Len, they still have Rashawn Holmes, but he's got to show something, I think, for his future with the Kings. Just to and I want him to be like, if he's not going to be playing in Sacramento, like just give him legitimate run in Stockton. I felt like that kind of hurt him at times.
Yes.
Where, all right, yeah, he's around the big club and there's some benefits to it, right? Just being around practices and coaches, watching film, all that stuff. But he's sitting around and then he comes back to G League and he's not in game shape and it takes him like 4 games to get back in rhythm. I just think that's tough for a young guy.
Yeah. And that's actually what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think it would be more beneficial for him to play all the time in Stockton or be up with the big club? And tell me if I'm wrong, but what I get from that answer is just choose one. Like if you want him with the big club all the time, just keep him up here and let him develop that way, or let him play all the time in Stockton, but don't keep bringing him back and forth.
Yeah, and I feel like because of everything that was going on with COVID restrictions and everything for a lot of these guys, it was like he was getting called up so much more just to be there, right? And wasn't even seeing those minutes to play. So yeah, I would love to see him just play a whole bunch with Stockton, especially because that helps some of these other guys that they may be trying to develop there, play with some better pieces. And that is still very important to play with pieces that you're playing with consistently. But at the same time, when we talked to Keita this summer, he did mention like the experience of being with the NBA guys in those practices are a lot, but I think it just would have been even so much more if he was getting just a little bit more consistency with some of those NBA minutes when so many guys were out and it was the end of the year.
Well, thank goodness COVID isn't around anymore. So
well, thank goodness.
Yeah, really dodged a bullet with that one. Another player that we believe you're going to see a lot of this season, and I think I can speak for Kenny in when I say this, we really like Keon Ellis also.
Yeah.
And Keon seems to, Deuce, we always talk about like, why can't we find that guy? Like a guy in the second round or late in the first, or someone who like the Herb Jones type. And I don't want to put Keon Ellis where Herb Jones is. He obviously had a tremendous rookie season. But like when we watched Keon Ellis over those 3 games in the California Classic, it was like, undrafted guy coming in here, going to spend some time in Stockton. Maybe he's that dude Kings fans have longed for.
Hey, if he can play defense like that at an NBA level, you've seen some of the flashes already of what he can do. He gets into guys, and you're exactly right. Like when you're the Kings, especially, it's not like they have a ton of cap space either, right? So you gotta find these guys who are maybe borderline guys or kind of flying under the radar. Gabe Vincent, who was in Sacramento with Stockton, and then Miami brings him up. Find those type of guys, the undrafted guys who want to go out there. They want to play defense. They play the right way. I see that with Keon. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do in the summer league. I mean, if he has a really good Vegas summer league, who's to say they go, you know what, we'll give him a roster spot and find another 2-way guy.
And it's like help him grow.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I've talked about so many times over these past years of just how developing guys in Sacramento just doesn't happen. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. But now I have the most confidence, which is weird that I have so much confidence and I haven't even seen it yet. This is just mostly from the backgrounds and the reputations of a lot of these guys on the coaching staff.
Yeah. I'll ask you guys the same question about Keon Ellis that I asked about Queta. Do you think the best thing for him is a whole year in Stockton, or some people feel like, hey, get him with Coach Brown right now, and even if he's not playing a lot, he can learn a lot more being under him all season than playing in the G League all year.
And maybe it's just finding the balance, right? Like having a guy like that could soak up the knowledge from Mike Brown and his staff would be great, but like Bobby Jackson can provide that too in Stockton, right? Like Bobby Jackson's teams want to get after it. You know, we saw it last year in the Summer League, and it's the same thing with Stockton, the G League. They want to play defense. So I think he'll benefit either way. But I mean, that's the one area we can talk how much we like about the Kings offseason. There's still major question marks defensively. Like even if you like Davion, the question is, will De'Aaron be able to do it? Can Mike Brown get something out of him defensively because he has the potential? Can they play some good team defense? If Keon Ellis can D up and make plays at an NBA level, he may have to be on the team. You don't know how it's going to go. I mean, the Pelicans, I don't think last year before the season were going, hey, two key guys for us, Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so Alvarado was doing in the G League. He got their attention. They called him up because of COVID stuff, and he brought it. And look, he's made his way in the league as a rotational guy.
No.
I know you guys had this on today's edition of the Deuce Mo podcast, or at least the YouTube version of it. The poll question was grade the offseason for the Sacramento Kings, A, B, C, or D. And I saw the poll question. I put my vote in there. I thought it was pretty split. At least when I cast my vote, it was split A and B. Yeah. How would you guys grade the Kings offseason?
Man. I feel like A- is too nice and B+ is like not just enough. So like if it could be in between,
how can you go in between B+ and A-? There's no in between.
But that's my thing. Like you can't. But that's where I would try to say it is, because I think it's
what a coward.
Yes, I am a coward. I think it's too hard to say it right now. You see these pieces in front of you and you're like, yes, good job, Monty. Like that guy can shoot. Oh, Kevin Huerter. Like not only can he shoot, he can, get to the rim. He can play a little defense. And you're seeing these pieces look better on paper around De'Aaron and Sabonis. And then you're seeing this draft pick look pretty solid in Summer League. Then you're seeing this new head coach come in that everyone's like, ooh, okay, he's coming from a championship team, is known for his defense. Once it's put together and I see the product put together, that's when I'm like, I can really say like, this is the grade it is, right? Because right now we can say it's an A-, but what if like Mike Brown really doesn't know how to be a head coach or something? I'm obviously being dramatic, but I'm just saying like,
yeah, what I get if it. You gotta see, happen? I gotta see 10 games. I gotta see 20. I gotta see a half season before I say anything. Here it is. It's a B+. Is that okay? They didn't fix all their issues. They didn't fix rim protection and defense. You know what they did, Morgan? They got shooting. They got more athletic. They got younger. They're a better team. This is the best Kings team since when?
A long time. Oh, but see, we're
06?
We're saying a long time, and not whatever.
It is.
It is.
I mean, I know that's not saying a lot, but like it's been a long time since you've had Fox and Sabonis. Now, all of this hinges. Can De'Aaron Fox be the guy that I think he's capable of being? I think Sabonis is going to do his thing. Another X factor to me.
I know that face Morgan's making right now, by the way. I know that face. Like every time I think Kenny and I are spending way too much time together, I just click on an episode of the Deuce Mo podcast and remember. All right.
Guys, it's just because yes, Deuce is right. Coward. I sit on the fence. Call me any name. I really don't give a damn. Call me anything.
But you like the offseason. You think do you like it or not?
Yes, I absolutely like the offseason. And I think what has scared me from the past is that like I've liked other other seasons, like going into the season, I've had a little bit of confidence being like, hey, there's some good individual pieces here. How can you put these things together? And then it was like no one could put them together. There wasn't a competent front office. It was like there's so many different things that were coming into play. So now I'm trying to say right now with these fresh faces that like there's competence, there's smart developmental coaches, there's a good roster in front of me. It's just hard for me to say when I haven't seen it all put together.
Well, here's the deal though, Mo. Here's the deal. This is like a school year. Okay. And when you get your first report card or your progress report, you got 3 tests on there. Okay, maybe you pass the first 3 tests. You got an A in the class. All right. Okay. But when you come towards April and you've got another 10, 12 tests, and if you don't pass them, your grade isn't going to be an A anymore. It's going to be a C or a D or something like that.
That's a good point. So I see you can kind of grade the NBA draft, the NBA free agency, and then
the season is its own, the actual season, and that'll determine your ultimate grade. But right now, I got to give Monty an A, and this is coming from a man who said on draft night, somebody needs to give him their password for Redfin and Trulia. I did say that. I don't go away from that, but he stepped his game up. All right, he did a good job. And I say like this.
His progress report on draft night was not good.
Kenny, not good. Kenny, you were thinking bad things on draft night.
Hella dramatic.
Offseason didn't even start. Kenny's like, I'm done. I'm like, can we get to free agency?
And now he's giving him an A.
Let's hear it.
He passed the test. He passed the next test. Now, here's what I will say about this, and maybe it's grading on a curve. I feel if we're being realistic, if we're being fair to the Sacramento Kings, they had as good of an off season as you could ask for from them. When I say that is free agency, you weren't in the running for any of these big free agents like that. That's not the case. But you went out and got a guy that could potentially start for you. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But he could start for you. You went out and got him. That's a big time move right there. Trade. You didn't have a whole lot of assets, but the assets that you did have, you really didn't use any of them to get another guy that could start for you in Kevin Huerter. As far as what Monty had to work with, as far as this team, this market, all this other stuff, I thought, and then we saw what Keegan was able to do, just seeing him on the floor. I thought that's about as good as the Kings offseason could have gone so far. So that's why I give him an A right now.
So fair.
And I think what's to his point, like with all those moves that we talk about, even going back to the Sabonis thing, from adding Sabonis to Monk to Huerter, they've given up 1 first-round pick in that whole thing.
Yeah. No, it's
2024. I mean, that's
so fair. And
isn't it also potentially a first-round pick?
Yeah, I mean, if it went bad, it turns into 2 second rounds. But like, hey, if they're legit, then okay, they lose their pick in 2024 when they're, it's a 15th or 16th selection in the draft. And who knows? I mean, maybe there's another move that they can make to get a first round pick in the future. They got one next year in a stacked draft. A lot of people love that draft. So, no, I'm super encouraged by what they did. I mean, if you're going to have Fox and Sabonis, I need some shooting around them. And I can't just bank on Fox becoming a better shooter or Sabonis. Hopefully those things happen. If those things happen, in addition to the shooting you added, plus Keegan Murray, it looks like he can shoot it. Harrison Barnes was a 40% 3-point shooter. You got catch and shoot guys. You have guys that can, play off ball too.
If you get Sasha in here, it looks like he's going to beat the rock.
Yeah, I mean, you get Sasha in here. I mean, so overall, I mean, I think Monty's done a hell of a job this offseason.
Hey, Deuce and I, we were arguing, surprise, earlier about this Kings team this year with the Western Conference, looking a little different. Guys getting healthy. Who knows where Kevin Durant's going to go? Stay in the East, please. Whatever. I was still saying, though, with this Kings team, I'm like, we're going to get some competitive, competent games where it's like, but they're going to end in losses. But we're not going to have to talk about these losses, and it's going to be about effort. It's just going to be about other teams still being better. And when we started talking about the win-loss column, I don't have this Kings team just jumping ahead right now with everything else that is out there and who else they have to play. Do you guys see this team like jumping up 10 games or what?
Well, I'm going to do my Morgan Reagan here, and I'm going to straddle the fence for a minute.
Do better.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to straddle the fence here a minute, because we were kind of talking about this yesterday, or at some point or earlier this week, we were talking about it, where we like project, and you just mentioned it, Morgan, guys are getting healthy. Obviously we're thinking about the Los Angeles Clippers and that sentiment. You mentioned Zion Williamson. We're thinking about him and what that could necessarily be for the New Orleans Pelicans. But, we hate it. You don't want to see it. Someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Some chemistry experiment isn't going to work. Like there's going to be, like, the Lakers were 33-49 last year. No one saw that. We didn't think Portland was going to be particularly good, but I didn't think they were going to be 27-55. Stuff happens. What really matters is that the Kings take advantage if one of those teams, falls out, or if multiple, like what Utah is going to look like Donovan Mitchell, according to the almighty Brian Windhurst, says he's going to stand pat and he's riding with the Utah Jazz, at least for now. So, what are they ultimately going to look like? We also discussed how Houston and Oklahoma City and even New Orleans, to a certain, that's not the same teams that we saw last year. Like I don't think they're going to be great, but I don't think they're going to be what they were last year either. I'm going to straddle the fence here and say I think enough can go the Kings' way. But at some point, though, Morgan, the Kings are going to have to find ways to win those games. And that's like it's De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis that really separate the Sacramento Kings from the Oklahoma Cities and the Houston Rockets.
Right.
Because as good as their really, really young players are, they don't have what should be the anchors that the Sacramento Kings have in Fox and Sabonis.
And when you say at some point they're going to have to, find ways to get wins, are you talking about next season, or are you talking about like 2 seasons?
I'm talking about now. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about now. Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect anything from this team, although I expect them. I have my own mandate that they better make the playoffs. That's what I do expect.
Playoffs are
for sure.
He said playoffs.
I mean, if they get, I'll ask you guys this question too, and I think I know where you're going. If they have the same exact season as the Cleveland Cavaliers had this past season, is that a success?
To me, yeah. Growth, you guys. And that's being realistic in this basketball world. And you know that, Kenny. You know that when you just don't, it's not like they added a whole bunch of superstars to this team and it's like, okay, expectations are higher, playoffs. It's like they've added solid basketball players and a competent coaching staff to this organization to hopefully make them see that growth.
So I'll and I agree. I think it would be a success too, but we act like it doesn't happen. And maybe this is the exception and not the rule, but isn't that what Minnesota did? Yeah. Minnesota didn't really add nothing. They just had a whole year of their players. They got a new coaching staff in, and they got to what were they, 7th in the West, and ended up playing their way in.
Yeah,
Memphis. Did anyone anticipate before the season Memphis was going to be the number 2 seed in the West? Like, no one saw that coming. Even if you liked Memphis, you weren't going, hey, I think they're going to be number 2. So, I mean, I expect a jump. I mean, this is not this team that's currently constructed. You can call it on paper, whatever. They're clearly better than the team that played in Sacramento from October to February, whatever, 15th at the trade deadline. There's
absolutely.
like no disputing that. Sabonis just makes the team better just alone. He got more out of Fox. Fox played great. Now you add some legit shooting around.
Yeah.
I don't see how they're not better. I just don't see how they don't make a significant jump. And I guess everyone would be like, yeah, they're the Kings, Deuce. Like, of course, that's what it is. But I mean, if they don't make the play-in, that would be
that's unacceptable.
Extremely disappointing. That's
unacceptable.
You'd be sitting here going, okay, now what? Like, because Fox is going into year 7. Like, Sabonis is going into the final year of his contract. There'd have to be some tough conversations.
I have play-in expectations, and that's tough for me to say because it almost contradicts the way that I keep talking about this West being stacked, but also that's going to kind of what Damian is saying with, it's like, you got to find a way to win those games to get into that play-in spot though.
I think about everything from last year, right? Like how De'Aaron not playing well in the beginning, the whole Buddy Bagley dynamic, guys missing time, Rashawn's year. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Oh, and then you fired your coach like however many games into a season. You got a fan puking all over the floor. Like, are we serious? This was one of the worst years. So now going into this year, it's like, all right, I feel like the vibes are better. And I know, hey, let's settle down. I don't want to get Kenny talking about Tristan Thompson and
PT.
montage and getting him a max deal. He wanted to extend everyone in September. But I'm just saying, like, I think it feels like it's going to be a better team. They've got shooting, they've got athleticism. I think they can get something out of Rashawn Holmes. And I'm talking about on the court. Like the fact that he and his agent met with Mike Brown, and then Rashawn was at Mike Brown's presser. That doesn't tell me that guy is upset and doesn't want to be in Sacramento. Right. I think he had a super challenging year physically, mentally, on the court, off the court, the Sabonis trade. Holmes can help them. Having a guy that wants to get after it, who grinds, who could defend the pick and roll, switch out, that's an awesome asset to have coming off your bench.
Shot. Yep.
I agree.
Imagine if they get something out of him this year too, in addition to what they added. So I don't know. We're not even talking about what Davion could do. I think they can have a really nice year.
I got playing expectations too, and I also expect you better play your way into the playoffs. that's what I said. Hey. You get that playing, you better play into the playoffs. I know that much.
I'm getting all fired up right now. Let's tip it off. No, I think it's fine. And maybe this is me being way too optimistic.
Yes.
Me and Deuce are on the same wave. We're on the same wave, man. Come on, me and Deuce are on the same wave.
Yeah, you guys are like this.
We'll sit on this
fence Damien and I are just like going to sit.
We'll eat some burger patch over here on this fence. And
Malik Monk. You like Malik Monk. This isn't like, oh, hey, the Kings signed Trevor Ariza. Oh, maybe his impact could be nice. Hey, man, Kojo. I mean, that was legitimately a really strong signing.
You know how I feel about Kevin Huerter. Like, I really like Kevin Huerter. And I remember when they were putting him in that John Collins rumors, being like, is this the package that can, the Kings can make a trade? I was excited about Kevin Huerter. So then once that trade was actually made with just Kevin Huerter, I was cool with it because he's a big young guy that can shoot the damn ball, that can get to the basket. Like, and I was not giving him enough credit defensively the other day when we were giving our first thoughts on it. Like, he's a guy that also has a high basketball IQ and can play defense too.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, you were giving your first thoughts on the side of the road, so I think you can be forgiven for that. That was a solid live edition of the podcast. What's the plan this weekend? You guys are headed to Vegas, right?
Yeah, get in tomorrow morning. Working on some things. Hopefully, we can. We're trying to land some good stuff. I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah,
we're all over the new edition of the Davion Mitchell.
Come on, man.
That
was basically a Deuce Mo episode.
I actually haven't watched the full thing yet, but I mean, I guess they know.
Oh, you lived it. You don't really have to. Like,
they don't ask for permission. I guess they just.
Yeah. Either way,
you're gonna give me that cut?
No, I'm telling you guys, because that conversation. What I love that they used it because Davion was just down to be vulnerable, express himself, and talk hoops, and it was just like. It was some of the best I've ever heard Davion. And then since then, though, you can tell he's a lot more confident in front of the camera. He's a lot more confident with media. Yeah. He's ready for this season. I'm excited.
I wasn't expecting that. You guys did a great job with him. I wasn't expecting to hear him in that way. And it was a great interview. And he was open and transparent and honest. And credit to you guys for that, for sure.
Thanks. The one name that we think we have confirmed, they said it's confirmed.
What are you doing there?
I can't just say. Well, you're always weird about jinxing things. It's like the person said this person, hey, we'll record it then, is Scoot Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
Projected to be the second pick of the draft next year. So,
wow.
What?
We've met him a few times, so hopefully, I mean, it's okay, like, what?
We've met him a few times.
We have,
like
and he's like the sweetest. We're best friends. He's only 18. We met him at 17. So creepy. No, but like oh my God, talk about a guy that's ready to just like have cameras in front of him. He's just so good with people. And that was at 17 years old. He's already understands like what it's going to be like and what it takes. And give credit to G League Ignite for getting him ready.
Yeah. So we're packing up all the equipment and probably do some live streams, but also hopefully do some interviews down there too.
Yeah, we're gonna be tapping in for sure.
That's awesome. Make sure you're subscribing to the Deuce Mo podcast wherever you get podcasts from. Also subscribe to their YouTube feed or their Twitch feed. They everywhere. So make sure you're locked in as they head to Summer League.